Delta Force, one of the most elite Tier 1 unit that operates in the shadows. Delta Force is a Tier 1 Special Operations unit under operational control of the Joint Special Operations Command, referred to in short as JSOC. This unit goes by several names, and while we will be referring to it as Delta Force throughout this video, it is also called the Combat Applications Group, or CAG for short, the unit, Army Compartmented Elements, or ACE for short, Task Force Green within JSOC, and its official title is 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta. This is a unit with many names and many capabilities. The United States government's Department of Defense tightly controls information about the unit, refusing to comment publicly on the highly secretive unit and its activities. These operators operate under the veil of secrecy, hidden from the enemy. But what if you're looking to operate under the veil of secrecy, hidden from the enemy online? That's where NordVPN comes in. NordVPN keeps your data hidden behind a wall of next-gen encryption. That means your anonymity stays intact, and your private data is kept away from those pesky intruders. With super-fast servers in over 60 countries, and the ability to connect up to a total of 6 devices at the same time, NordVPN will always have you covered. We've collaborated with NordVPN, today's sponsor, to provide you all with a massive discount. Visit nordvpn.com/generaldischarge to get 73% off a 2-year plan, with an extra month completely free. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's nordvpn.com/generaldischarge. Links in the description below. Now back to Delta Force. Delta Force is tasked with performing complex, classified, and dangerous missions ranging from hostage rescue, counter-terrorism, direct action, special reconnaissance, capturing high-value targets, and dismantling terrorist cells. The unit remains extremely flexible though, and is not limited based on those primary missions. So you know the purpose of Delta Force, or at least what the US government wants you to know about them. But just how capable is Delta Force exactly? Once you find out what makes up the unit, it will all make sense. Since Delta Force is a Tier 1 unit, this means that it is comprised of the best in the SOF community. Delta Force routinely pulls personnel from mainly the Army Green Berets and Army Rangers, but it also pulls personnel from every branch of the military. And Delta Force doesn't just take any Green Beret or Ranger, they take seasoned, mentally strong, and dedicated SOF personnel to fill the role as a Delta Force operator. We'll get to the selection process later in the video, but take a second to realize what kind of guys these Delta Force operators are. They're experienced SOF personnel with multiple deployments, possessing a wide variety of skills needed to be the tip of the spear. Now, what missions have Delta Force operated in? While we've already established that most of what they've been involved with is classified, some information has made it to the public. To give you an idea of how badass Delta Force is, let's go over some of the work they've done. In the beginnings of Operation Enduring Freedom, following the September 11th attacks, Delta Force fell under the newly formed Task Force Sword, which was a black SOF unit charged with capturing or killing senior leadership and high-value targets within both the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Delta Force was codenamed Task Force Green in this endeavor, and would keep this moniker throughout the various task forces it was involved with. Considering that Delta Force mainly operates autonomously, it essentially had the license to kill by whatever means necessary in accordance with the United States mission. This would extend into the later formation of Task Force 145, an elite joint task force formed after the invasion of Iraq in 2003, where Delta Force continued doing what it does best. In more recent history, Delta Force was involved with Operation Black Swan, which was the capture and subsequent arrest of the notorious drug kingpin El Chapo. And in October 2019, Delta Force was involved in Operation Kayla Mueller, which led to the death of al-Baghdadi, leader of the Islamic State group. This operation saw Delta Force work closely with the CIA Special Activity Center, a unit that Delta Force is no stranger to. Now that you have an idea of what Delta Force has done throughout its history, let's move on to its structure, and then its selection process. Because once you find out what one has to go through to become a Delta Force operator, it will drive home exactly why this unit is extremely capable and deadly. To give a brief overview of the purported structure of Delta Force, we will depict picked it with some lovely boxes. In Sean Naylor's book, Relentless Strike, The Secret History of JSOC, a book we highly recommend and will leave a link in the description for, he details Delta Force consisting of Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta squadrons, which are the assault squadrons, Echo Squadron, which is aviation, Gulf Squadron, which is advanced force operations, a combat support squadron, and a signal squadron. Each squadron has 2 direct action assault troops and a recon and surveillance troop. The squadrons are commanded by lieutenant colonels, with the troops being led by majors. The enlisted personnel take leadership roles within the troops. Now that you know the basic structure of Delta Force, let's get into the selection process. Delta Force's selection process is a test of grit, mental tenacity, and outright determination. SOF operators, who had already undergone their own respective selection processes to get into the SOF community, are all rounded up and given an even tougher endeavor to endure. Delta Force selection occurs twice a year in Camp Dawson, West Virginia, and lasts 4 weeks. But don't let the 4 weeks fool you. There's a lot that happens in those 28 days. Candidates are expected to conduct numerous land navigation courses, including an all-night one, all while carrying a 40-pound load. As the distances increase, so does the weight, all while time requirements decrease. At the end, there's a 40-mile march with a 45-pound rucksack that is to be completed in an unknown amount of time, known as the Long Walk. As for the mental side of the house, outside of the fact that the mind is fiercely tested throughout the physicality of the selection process, candidates also undergo numerous psychological exams. They are asked a barrage of questions from a board of Delta instructors and unit psychologists, and the answers are then put under scrutiny, being dissected piece by piece. This is intended to mentally wear down the candidate. If someone is selected in the 4-week course, they then attend a 6-month operator training course, or OTC for short, where they will be off the grid, hardly communicating with anyone in the outside world. To put this in perspective on how tough this selection really is, one operator stated that only 12 to 14 completed out of a pool of 120 applicants. And remember, those aren't your average Joes showing up to selection. Those are mostly SOF operators or those Delta Force deemed worthy of giving a shot. So how do you find yourself in Delta Force? Join the military first, and most likely join a SOF unit, like the Green Berets or Army Rangers. Delta Force is never going to come knocking on your door just because you're interested. You'll have to put the work in, and maybe there's a chance. Maybe. Thinking about embarking on the difficult journey to being a special operator? One of the first steps you'll need to ensure you are successful is getting some good gear. ATAC Fitness has you covered. With their wide selection of gear you need for special operations selection, there's no way you could pass that up. If you use our code General Discharge at checkout, you will receive 10% off. The link to their website will be in the description below. If you want to learn more about Delta Force, because there's no way we could ever cover everything there is to know about this unit in just one video, we have a couple recommended readings for you. There's the book we mentioned earlier,
Never pay for Wi-Fi again. InstaBridge is a free app with 20 million Wi-Fi passwords all over the world, with over 200 million downloads all.
Millions of people have watched this training. You're going to see why when you watch it. Millions of people looking for an answer, honestly, just to why they don't feel well. My story, every bit of the information I've been coaching.
I do some work with some professional sports teams, right? And the only people that they look up to are tier 1 special operators. You tell a pro NBA player, like, oh, in the NFL they do this, they're like, whatever. They don't care. They want to play video games. They do not care. They want to hang out with their girlfriend or their 4 girlfriends, whatever it is. You tell them tier 1 operators who do high risk, high consequence work and are on deployment schedules that would dissolve you into a puddle of your own tears because it's a vampire schedule. You don't get to sleep when you want to, and you potentially die. You potentially all die, and their running times are faster. Their recovery times are faster. Their shooting accuracy is far better than your shooting accuracy, and that's with a gun. and getting shot at, and they go, okay, I'll listen. They look up to tier one operators. That's a fact. And so if you want them to listen, you understand that fact. You look at what tier one operators are doing. That's what professional sports teams are trying to glean that information.
In the middle of nothing in Afghanistan, there was this operation that we did, and then in this valley, this huge valley, one we know another side of the hill, and the other hill was far away. And nighttime, we see some lights. Some lights. What the fuck is going on? Some lights. Problem, we see the light with night vision goggles. These guys on the other side, they need to have infrared laser or light. So what the fuck they are? We took one Barrett caliber 50 handgun and rifle, machine gun, and point the laser to the hill. And we did like a circle, right? Ready to engage with what's going to happen. So 2 seconds later, a laser coming our way.
Circle.
I did a circle. So we established, okay, we have the same way to talk. So unless you really know what you're doing, you are on our side. 2 minutes later, we called the chain of command to see what's going on. Well, guess what? There was a Delta Force on the other side. They would say the same thing. What the fuck these guys are?
You have a lemon-sized hole in the back of your shoulder.